Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Iyanla Fix My Life, Season 6, Episode 18-ish or something like that, titled Unfinished Business, featuring the Mitchell brothers. Why y'all didn't tell me Iyanla was back on the air? I did not realize that Iyanla had returned to continue this season of her show. So I just was not aware that I was actually an episode behind. So this particular video will be a overall summary review of the past two episodes, which is parts 1 and 2 of the Unfinished Business series featuring the Mitchell brothers. First off, I want to say thank you for clicking on this video. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's just dive right into it. I didn't take notes or anything. I wasn't in the mood to do that today. I had a few other things going on and an event to go to, so just wanted to be able to put this video out immediately after I finished watching it. So we return and we have all of the Mitchell brothers. We have Kizzy and we have LaRonda back to finish talking about the issues that they brought to us on a previous season. Now, I am a big fan of Miss Iyanla. I think that she is full of wisdom. She has a very unique way of looking at things, and I love watching her show because I like to be able to take bits and pieces of what I see from, the things that she does with other people and the things that she says and, the activities that they do and apply them to my life personally. But there's something always weird about her going back to revisit a certain story that makes things feel weird for me. I personally do not believe that Iyanla does this strictly for TV. I do believe that she feels that it is part of her mission to help people, and this show helps her to get her message out to a way broader audience than if she were to just help individuals without the cameras there. So I do believe that Iyanla's primary goal is to do this work, right? However, bringing back the Mitchell family for a 3-part series, knowing that some of my most watched Iyanla review videos were from when they were here the last time, something tells me that this was about TV, just a little bit. Everyone is more put together this time around with regards to their looks and their clothes. Something about it smells like maybe even the Mitchell family came back. Not that they don't need help, because they still do. And there's a lot of water under the bridge, a lot of damage that has been done in their family. They definitely need more healing. But something is coming off to me this time as if, the TV is a little bit more motivating this time around. Just my personal opinion. But moving on from that, we see that the brothers are just all still having issues. They all have M names, and when people all have the same first letter of their name, it's very hard to remember what their names are. There's Marvin and Melvin, whose names are so close and they look so much alike that it's really hard to tell them apart, who go at each other's throats, and we find out in this episode why. We have Marcus, who is the volatile one, who is struggling with the knowledge that his children are turning out to be very similar to the way he was at this age, and feeling hopeless and not knowing if there is time for him to kind of turn things around with his own family and not having custody of his children. There's McHale, who is just so handsome to me. He is the more level-headed brother, who Iyanla has kind of designated as the peacekeeper and the level-headed one, who has his own qualms about his own children, who has his own qualms about being the level-headed one and feeling that sense of responsibility and not really knowing what he wants to do with his life. And, when you are in survival mode, there are things that people who are not in survival mode think about and dream about that you don't even consider. And I was talking to my mom about this recently. She was saying that there were things that she wished she would have done with us or instilled in us that she just didn't even really think about. And, you know, at the time when I was growing up, for the most part, she was a single mother of 4 children. And when you're a single parent with one income trying to make ends meet, your instincts are all focused on survival. So the higher level stuff, things that you can only think about when those basic needs are met, you can't even get to that point. You can't even elevate your thinking to thinking about the future, to thinking about instilling values of going to college and being something, and aspiring to do something, and opening businesses, and, you know, going to the next level, and owning land, and, you know, having vacations, and going on, you know, having these worldly experiences are never on your mind, because the only thing you can think about right now is, how am I going to make sure there's food on the table? And people who grow up not having to think of those things have the ability to dream bigger. And it was just really sad to see McHale feel like he hadn't even really considered what he wanted to be in life. The thing I remember growing up is people always asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that answer changed for me quite a bit. But just feeling like as a grown man in his 30s, not really knowing what he wanted to be and not even really thinking about it, just felt sad to me. We also have, I can't think of it. I think his name is Michael. He's the one who has the affective mood disorder, who has been making the inappropriate videos, and who also appears to be depressed. Who has been feeling lonely, who has not been feeling the support of his family, and come to find out, his family has been trying to extend support to him, and he just hasn't been taking it because it's not, according to them, it's not in the form that he wants it. And Iyanla's advice is to put him on medication, and perhaps he needs it. Perhaps he does. He said that he was on medication when he was younger. I think it's something that they should definitely consider, but they have to talk to a mental health professional first, and not just, you know, take the word off Iyanla, because she's a lot of things, but she's not a psychologist, she's not a psychiatrist. So hopefully they can get him some medical help, and kind of turn things around for him. And we also have Kizzy, who is the oldest child, who has her own set of issues with her mother. And it's really interesting how the brothers are kind of paired up and run, or like the siblings, the whole family has this like pair, like people are paired up in the family, and they are like mirror images of each other. And the people that they are mirror images of are the ones that they have the most conflict with. Kizzy and her mother LaRonda are so much alike, and they have so much discord in their relationship because they are reflections of what, you know, the other person sees. Kizzy, of course, has problems with her mother giving her up to her grandparents, and now Kizzy is 40 years old and does not have custody of her children. Her children are with their grandmother, and so now she is repeating this cycle. And when she looks at her mother, she sees herself and has this disdain and this hatred for herself because she sees herself in her mother. And we have LaRonda, who claims that she does not even like her daughter, and when she sees her daughter, she sees herself. And we see the same thing with Marvin and Melvin. Again, it's kind of hard to tell them apart, especially since their names especially since their names are so similar, seeing that they are like these mirror images of each other. And I'm going to say Marvin. Marvin is the one that reminds me, Marvin is the one whose hair was black. Did y'all see he had like a purple like swoop that was in his hair that was like perfect? I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. it was hard to notice on camera, but I was like thinking that something was wrong with my TV for a little bit. But he had like this purple swoop in his hair that I thought was pretty cool. So him, the one whose hair is black, I believe that's Marvin. Marvin was assaulted or sexually assaulted while he was in some of the group homes, and continue to be assaulted by other male members of the group homes, and was ashamed and has been ashamed of his identity as a gay black man. And Melvin, on the other hand, the one that has the blondish hair, has no shame about who he is. And so Melvin dislikes that Marvin has been ashamed of him and said, tell people that we are not related, because he didn't want to be associated with somebody who was outwardly gay. And then Marvin, has a problem with Melvin because when he sees Melvin and sees how out and proud he is, he, hates the part of himself that feels ashamed. And so we have these two people who are these mirror images of each other and who have these big disagreements, these big arguments because they dislike what they see in each other and they dislike what that means for themselves. And at the end, I thought it was really, Iyanla was trying to get Melvin to understand where Marvin was coming from. And instead of having an understanding heart, Melvin took that as Iyanla excusing Melvin's behavior. And Melvin felt like he was dishonoring himself by just sweeping everything that Marvin has done to him under the rug. And that it's not his fault that Marvin does not feel comfortable in his skin. And he was just so upset about it that he didn't even want to talk to Iyanla because he was afraid he was going to say something disrespectful to her, and wouldn't let Iyanla talk and just kept yelling and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of get where he was coming from. I think Melvin feels like he's been supportive of Marvin. They were in homes, if I remember correctly, they were in homes together the most. So he has stood by him, been there with him, probably been, a shoulder for him to lean on after he went through all of that sexual trauma. And them having all of those experiences together and continuously feeling beat up by Marvin and disowned by Marvin. And I guess part of that continues today. And I guess he felt that instead of getting an apology from his brother, which he actually did get an apology from his brother, he felt like his feelings, I guess, weren't validated. That's what I came away with. And I think the tip of the iceberg, or the straw that broke the camel's back, rather, was when Iyanla asked Melvin, with the blonde tips, what he needed to apologize to Marvin for. In my point of view, from what I gather from what Melvin said, Melvin doesn't feel like he has to apologize to Marvin for anything. In this situation, Melvin feels like he is the victim, and that he is the person who has been disowned. He is the person who has been emotionally abandoned. He is the person who has been putting up with Marvin's crap and waiting for Marvin to accept who he is. And, he has been the punching bag for Marvin. And that I think that he feels that he doesn't have to apologize for that. That he does not have to apologize for being the victim in the situation. And I think that really bothered him. And that's the thing that he disagreed with Iyanla on. So I get where he's coming from. And I wish he had a more understanding heart. But apparently we're going to get into that more because in the trailer for the next episode, we see that Iyanla asks Melvin if he feels bad or guilty or has survivor's guilt because Marvin was sexually assaulted in the group homes and Melvin wasn't. And, survivor's guilt is still guilt, and it's weird. I don't understand. Like, guilt is one of those tricky emotions that is paralyzing, and it stops you from doing what you're supposed to do and what you need to do. Whether that's survivor's guilt, whether that's white guilt, whether it's just regular plain old guilt. I was taught in Bible school, this is one of the lessons that I learned in Bible study as a teenager that I carry with me to this day. And in the context of your spiritual walk and your spiritual journey, we were taught that guilt is the devil's way of stopping you from making things right with God. Because if you fall by the wayside, you start doing things that you aren't supposed to do, that guilt and shame overcomes you to the point where you're like, I can't even go back and ask for forgiveness. I can't even return to what I know spiritually because I am just such a bad person and I have so much guilt and shame about it. And once we can get rid of that guilt and shame is when we can take action and do the things that we're supposed to do. And so guilt is just a tool that our brain just tricks us into thinking that we can't do anything about it or we shouldn't do anything about it because we're just too far gone. And that's something that I try to avoid, is taking on guilt, particularly when things are like out of my control and out of my hands. And I get that. Yeah. So I didn't see, I saw that LaRonda kind of told her story, how she had a mother that was abusive to her. And if she has already told her story to her children, we didn't get to see it. Maybe that'll come on next time. But my hope for this family, I think Iyanla was kind of spot on when she said this family needs to heal as individuals and then maybe they can come back together as a family. And when you just have 7 or 8 broken people all together, and the only thing that unites them is blood, and they're all broken, nothing, like not even the fact that you all are family can really hold you together. And seeing stuff like this, hearing other people's stories, really puts things in perspective for me. My family is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, including myself. I have not been the perfect sister, friend, girlfriend, daughter, any of that stuff. I'm definitely not perfect, but seeing other people's families and what they had to endure makes me grateful for the family that I do have. And I'm trying to get better about sending birthday gifts and cards, and I have to send some birthday gifts. Like, you all ever have in your family where it's like 5 or 6 family members have birthdays all in the same, wrapped up in the same month? That's what June and October are, in my family. So I have some gifts to send out and stuff like that. But anyways, what was I trying to say? Oh, but I'm trying to be a better person, trying to get better about staying in communication, and things along those lines, and not letting guilt of not speaking to somebody for a long time prevent me from, calling or sending a card. So, yeah. I'm grateful, things like this makes me grateful for my family. Not that I watch, Iyanla or any other show to feel better about myself and my life and where I am at the moment, but just seeing the Mitchell brothers and seeing what they're going through just really puts things into perspective for me. So that's just been my review of this episode. It was kind of more like an overview. Again, my hope and prayer is that these individuals can work on themselves, they can work on their relationships, and they can move forward and really enjoy this new idea of family, because everybody has this picture in their head of what family is, and with their history, their background, they will never be the ideal family, but they can take what they have and make the most of it and have that be their new definition of family. And so I'm hoping that they can do that, and we'll see more next time. I'm going to be more on top of these reviews, especially since I am virtually done with school. I just have a take-home final to turn in, and then I am done, finito with this school year for my MBA program. And so during this summer, I plan on starting a small business. So I might keep you all up to date on that as well, but I want to get back into the groove of reviewing stuff. So be on the lookout for the next episode. If you all are interested in my thoughts on the Braxton Family Values episodes, you can check out that video on my channel. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and peace out, home slices.